So today we're doing women's soccer in the Middle East. My name is Antoine Ayoub. I'm doing this with Rocker, Paul, and Abigail. So for our agenda today, we have review of product, predefined criteria for market segmentation, positioning, pricing strategy, integrated marketing communications, adaptation versus standardization.
Women's rights is a growing thing in Saudi Arabia, and you can kind of see that in their recent addition of rights to be able to drive. And as it's becoming a larger part of society, we think we'll be able to incorporate that and continue to grow our league with that, and then continue to expand after that process is completed.
We're going to begin today by reviewing the product that we'll be offering. If you recall, we started our feasibility study by looking at hockey in the Middle East, and that was going to be geared towards men. We've now shifted gears though to evaluate the feasibility of women playing soccer in the Middle East. So this will still be under the same company, which is the USHL. However, we'll be serving as essentially a sports management team to introduce women's soccer. The league will begin in Saudi Arabia, but our overall target market to expand to is the Middle East. This will include countries such as Oman, Yemen, United Arab Emirates, and Egypt down the line.
As of recently, the culture has been changing in Saudi Arabia. Activists have been pushing hard for equality for women. The momentum to change the policy picked up in recent years with the rise of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the king's 32-year-old son, who has laid out a far-reaching plan to overhaul the kingdom's economy and society. This year, Saudi Arabia decided to allow women to be able to drive, in addition to allowing them to spectate at sports stadiums, which is huge. So now we're going to talk about positioning. So first thing, how is it placed? So occupying a new space, that's what we're going to do in athletics, because right now in athletics, males are dominating this market. So with the new laws with women coming in, it's going to be easy for them to go to the games and attend these games and do a lot of things like driving to help them attend. And at the same time, how is it distinguished? So using facilities and sports complexes around the metropolitan areas is what we'll do to attract people around that area. And we're really focusing on women's rights, promoting towards women that are women activists that want to express their new rights, and family-oriented advertising as well, because we want families to come to these games.
The next thing we will be discussing is pricing strategy. We need to use penetration pricing initially in order to get awareness about our soccer league moving forward, and it also would be worth it taking losses on our first seasons in order to create a strong fan base. Also, offering deals to families and team packages will allow more fans to come and experience the league and competition. This will create a larger fan base during the inception of the league, giving us future growth and room to move into other areas.
So in looking at the integrated marketing communication, there are several approaches that we can take in order to effectively communicate to a mass amount of women within Saudi Arabia. However, there are some challenges that we're going to face, and so we're going to have to create some pairings to work with other people in the government in order to effectively communicate across the country. First, we need to communicate with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, as he is interested in bringing women up a little bit in rights and bringing forward the society to be a little bit more with what we consider to be current times here in the U.S. Additionally, we can work with the broadcasting service of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They have almost entire rights over all of the communication that comes across to the people of the country. And with limits on social media, there's not Facebook or other modes of communication that we might typically rely on. And lastly, we will work with the General Sports Authority. They are the authority over all sports in Saudi Arabia, and so they own everything from the teams to the sports complexes to parks and everywhere else that sports are going to be practiced there. And so down the line, working with them in either selling our team off to them or working in their facilities, we would have the opportunity to market and pair with them successfully.
The last thing we're going to talk about is adaptation versus standardization. So initially, we're going to have to adapt from hockey to soccer. We're also going to adapt our marketing from fans to activists. We're also going to have to adapt our ownership from private to state ownership. So these three things are necessary for us to continue growing in the Middle East. And moving forward, the basic principles of planning and running a league will remain the same. So the experiences we've had in the US will help us be able to design the leagues that we run in the Middle East.
So up to this point, we've talked about our product, which is going to be women's soccer in the Middle East. We've talked about the predefined criteria for our market segmentation, the positioning in that market, our pricing strategy, the integrated marketing communications that we will be relying upon, our adaptation versus standardization approach, and now we'd like to open the floor for any questions and responses. Thank you all for your time.